Welcome to Newfoundland, a large island off Canada's east coast which boasts over 500 years of settlement. The sea has pounded its coastline for centuries. The winds full of mist and salt have blown across its face for as long. Newfoundland is a wild and rugged landscape, a perfect backdrop for spirits and characters complex and mysterious. Happy-go-lucky and hospitable, characters full of glad tidings or of woe. People in villages and coastal towns across Newfoundland have spent many a winter in isolation. What better way to pass a long winter's night than to tell stories of mystery and phantoms? With so many shipwrecks and violent, unpredictable weather blended with superstitions from all over the world, it's no wonder Newfoundland is brimming with stories of the supernatural. What you are about to experience is but a small sample of this island's stories. Most have been passed on through word of mouth. Some are recent. The origins of others are lost in the mists of time. We could never hope to tell you every mysterious story from Newfoundland. Everyone seems to have one. Let me introduce you to some of these characters. Some from yesterday, some from today. Let me tell you some tales from the mist.
We are the boys from Casey's Lane, at night time we have fun. For when a policeman shows his nose of Flowers Hill we run. We stand behind the coffin house, we don't know snow nor rain. There's none coop up a corner like the boys from Casey's Lane.
My name is Mrs. Cleary. The story I will tell you is a tale of love and horror. It's the story of a young sailor, Matt Trilligan, a handsome young lad who bragged much and feared little. He was as bold and as brazen as any of the fine sailor lads who grew up on Casey's Lane in the city of St. John's. Like many around him, young Trilligan went to sea early and saw much of the world. Matt would bring treasures home to all, and when on shore leave he was generous amongst his friends with money for the dark rum. Matt Trilligan met Kathleen at a family gathering. Smitten he was at the sight of her beauty. They were engaged in no time, and while Matt still went to sea, he anxiously returned to Kathleen, bearing presents of all kinds from everywhere in the world he would visit. At last they were married. As was the custom, Matt and the other men drank and made merry in one room, while the other ladies kept the company of the bride in another room. Happy and only a little bit full of his rum, Matt wandered away from the men to gaze lovingly upon his beautiful young bride. Now the ladies in the room were given to telling all sorts of stories of woe. Whether they were fully sober or not themselves was, of course, somewhat in question. Matt listened in as they set Kathleen to worrying with their talk. Marrying a sailor, one of them was saying, is being married to worry. Months alone, anxiously waiting for word on your man's fate at sea. Sometimes, they continued, they won't come home at all. Well, at this point, Matt interrupted them and told the ladies he had a different plan. The evil mischief took a hold of him. He took a crucifix off the wall and swore an oath to his bride. If death should come to Matt Trilligan, he announced, Kathleen, my loving wife, will be the first to know. Whether it be to heaven or hell, I will come for you, my love, and take you with me. This I swear. The ladies were in shock. One should not mock the crucifix. But Kathleen, sharing the mischief with her new husband, placed her hands on the crucifix as well. And I, she announced with almost a grin on her face, I will go freely with you, my dearest, whether it be to heaven or to hell. Word spread of the strange pact made at the wedding. Many spoke of the terrible things that would befall the brazen couple. As for Matt and Kathleen, they lived together lovingly as any man and woman could. They just laughed at the foolishness of all those who whispered throughout the lane. Eventually, Matt went to sea on board one of the many ships leaving that spring. Kathleen watched as Matt's ship left the Narrows of St. John's, and soon she settled into a routine of a sailor's wife on her own.
Ah, now never ye fear, my darling Kathleen.
Days passed, weeks, then months. The other ships that had gone out in the spring had returned, but there was still no sign of Matt's ship. Day after day, Kathleen would wander down to the seaside to look out for Matt's return, but it was not to be. His ship had delivered its load to Portugal, others had told her, but the ship had not been heard of since. There'll be nothing but the sounds of the wind and the crashing of the whitecaps over the chain rock. You'll be wondering and fearing that he'll never come back to you. In your mind's eye, you'll see his poor body lying cold and alone on the bottom of the ocean, with never a soul to know his final resting place. You'll still be waiting and never knowing whether or not you're a widow as the years pass. But this young bride would not be left alone in the world.
'Twill never be that way for you. I, Matt Trilligan, your husband, swear it.
The night, my God, I remember it so clearly. Cold, damp, heavy fog over the city. I was looking out my window, and from down the street I saw a man walking alone. As he got closer, I recognized Matt Trilligan.
Whether it be to heaven or hell, I will come for you, my love, and take you with me. This I swear.
But as he got closer still, I could see he was not right. He stared as if looking at nothing. He walked right past my house and gave no sign that he saw me looking out. Matt went into his house, and I waited and waited until I heard a deathly cry. It was Kathleen. I was frozen in fear. Moments later, Matt came out carrying Kathleen in his arms. She had the same deathly look as Matt, and she was laughing and kicking in her beautiful husband's arms as when she was alive. He carried her down the street and out of sight. I summoned my nerve and crossed the street to Kathleen's house. I called out. There wasn't a sound. I climbed the stairs, opened her bedroom door, and that's when my heart stopped. There was Kathleen lying on her bed, dead. Her hair was wet, and she smelled of the seawater and seaweed as if she had been lying herself at the bottom of the sea. That's how I remember it. I pray that Matt's last days were good, and he did in fact go to heaven for Kathleen's sake, and not to hell.
We are the boys from Casey's Lane. At night time we have fun. For when a policeman shows his nose of Flowers Hill, we run. We stand behind the coffin house. We don't know snow nor rain. There's none coop up a corner like the boys from Casey's Lane.